This is Northwest Connects. I'm Kurt Reihle, Waycross Community Media. And our special guest today, Brenda Miller, the Director of Curriculum for Northwest Local School District, and the Assistant Director of Curriculum. We have Lori Reihle with us. Brenda, welcome.
Thank you.
Lori, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, we talked previously in some of our other Northwest Connects about the District 1 plan to improve the outcomes and the academic success. Daryl did a great job in talking about that. Now tell us why this plan is so important when it comes to student performance regarding the district's yearly report card, and how are you measuring success?
Yeah, so the one plan is critical for us to stay aligned and focused in our work. With the one plan, we have very ambitious goals, as well as action steps and specific adult and student measures to ensure that we stay on track to meet our goals. So just for an example of how we're monitoring, in the last 2 weeks, we visited all 424 classrooms in our district and collected some baseline data around the model of instruction that we are asking our teachers to follow. So that's an example of an adult measure. We also, of course, are keeping track of student measures of both achievement and progress.
Now, each year, the Ohio Department of Education releases their state report card. We hear it on the news and everything else. Now, the information release provides the community with a comprehensive record of where the school stands in comparison to the public schools within the state of Ohio. Now, using a star ratings to showcase how the schools are performing, would you explain the star ratings and briefly discuss the areas that are being measured?
Sure. So the report card is complex. It contains many different components, but the star ratings are simply a rating from 1 to 5 stars. The rating of 5 stars, of course, is more desirable than a rating of 1 star. The state switched to the star system in order to be more transparent and help us be accountable to our public in the local school district. The rating of 3 stars specifically indicates that we are meeting state standards. And so that's kind of their range from 1 to 5, with currently Northwest Local School District having a 3-star rating. The pieces of the report card that are currently rated include achievement, progress, gap closing, K-3 literacy, and then graduation. We also receive information about college and career readiness, and the report card contains important information for the public around attendance, enrollment, staff qualifications, as well as financial data, which I know is of high interest to our community.
You mentioned gap closing. What is gap closing?
Yeah, so gap closing is probably the most complex part of the report card.
And I would ask that question, right?
Yeah. It includes 10 different elements, and each of those has points associated with it that go into that star rating. So with that, they're looking at everything from chronic absenteeism to the language proficiency of our English learners, the achievement and progress of our students with disabilities, as well as all of our other student subgroups, the federally defined subgroups related to race, ethnicity, et cetera. So economically disadvantaged would be another example of a student group. We're held accountable for the progress and achievement of all of those groups of students in Northwest Local.
Now, the district has made significant progress this year with an increase in the gap closing component. Notice gap, from 4 stars to 5 stars. Would you explain the strategies that were implemented to achieve the stable improvement and how they will be sustained?
Sure. So first of all, we're super excited about that 5-star rating.
And you should be.
Yeah, that's the top rating the state of Ohio gives. And we feel like that rating is not by accident. We have taken intentional steps to get better in this area. And what really boosted us from a 4-star to a 5-star rating is the progress that our students made in mathematics. Of those 9 groups of students that we're held accountable for, Northwest Local School District exceeded growth expectations for all 9 of those. That's what pushed us from 4 stars to 5 stars. And that action that led to that result was very intentional. We invested a lot of time and resource in making sure that our teachers had the tools they needed to teach math the way that we know our students need to learn. So with that, we provided professional development, we provided job-embedded coaching, as well as lots of new resources that are highly aligned to best practices in mathematics instruction.
I learned old math.
Yeah, so it's that shift, right, from how you and I learned, which is how do we memorize our times tables, how do we know how to find area or volume, to really moving beyond just that to conceptual understanding of the math. So what does it mean when 5 times 5 is greater than 5 times 4, and really digging into it. And so that's the shift in mathematics that our teachers have been leading our students through.
And I would think, being a former student, I took math, I got A's, I don't know how I did. 10 minutes later, I didn't remember how I got the A, but by realizing what is behind it and the concept, should make the learning process a lot easier to understand and retain.
Retain, that's the key, right? We want to make sure that students are able to remember it, and it's not just about whether or not I remembered the formula, but I understand why I multiply length times width times height, right? And so I can do it again, I can replicate it. Today's math is very different, and it's about us making sure that kids have all the possible strategies for figuring out a problem, and then they choose the ones that work best for them. So very different than how it was, 35 years ago or 25 years ago when we were in school.
Lori, the report card highlights an increase in the early literacy component from 2 stars to 3 stars. Congratulations. Now, what specific programs or initiatives contributed to this improvement, and how are you planning to continue this momentum?
Thank you. Well, we're actually very excited about this increase. It was not accidental. We've put a lot of hard work into gaining this star. For the past 3 years, we have been investing in our teachers and providing them intensive training around the science of reading. We've actually provided this training 3 years before the state has mandated it for all educators in Ohio. Our teachers were learning about the research behind the science of reading, but also just how the brain learns to read. Our teachers did a fantastic job of, as soon as they knew better, they started teaching differently. We immediately started seeing shifts in our classroom and the way we were approaching reading and how we were teaching our students. Right away, we start to see our students respond. We start to see some gains in achievement, and we start to see an increase in the number of students that are considered to be on track by the state of Ohio's guidelines. What's most exciting about this is that our teachers did all of this without an approved science of reading curriculum. The resources that they had in their classrooms were not aligned to the new learning that they had and the new understanding they had about how to teach reading. So we're excited that this year we have given them the resources they need so they can apply that learning seamlessly. We have adopted Amplify CKLA, which is a very robust reading curriculum. It teaches the essential skills for how to read very sequentially, but also works on the knowledge piece of it. It's designed around themes that circle around throughout their career in elementary so that we build some very deep background knowledge. We know that reading is more than just being able to sound out words or put words together to form a sentence. Students have to have some background knowledge in order to be able to comprehend as well. So we believe that with these highly trained teachers, a very effective curriculum that we are rolling out, and the support of reading specialists in every elementary building, that we will continue to grow in this area, and we just can't wait to see where we go.
Lori, 100% of the district received an overall component rating of at least 3 stars, and 4 schools earned overall component ratings higher than 3 stars, showing they are meeting the state standards. Now, how does this performance reflect on the district's overall educational strategies?
Well, last year we made a commitment to reduce the number of 2s that we had on our state report card. For the 22-23 report card, we actually had 24 ratings lower than 3, which means we were not meeting state expectations. We've worked hard to partner with teachers, administrators, students, and families to all come in alignment and use some best practice strategies so that we can really impact these areas. I'm excited to say that on our current report card, we actually reduced from 24 2s to 13 2s and different component areas. By reducing the number of 2s in these component areas, it allowed for our buildings to have overall increases in their report card ratings. Again, this was not by accident. We continue to use some best practice instruction, provide lots of support for our teachers, be intentional with the use of data, so that we're not just looking at the data, but we're taking action on it, and really work to build up our systems of support for students so that we can identify exactly where their gap is and address that need. We believe by continuing to do this, by strengthening our core, building up these systems, that we will not only meet our 3-year goal of becoming a 4-star school district, but also possibly even exceed it.
Brenda, what do you want families and community members to know about the work Northwest Local School District is doing to address the ongoing commitment to improve the achievement?
I think it's critical that our community know that we have a plan, that we have a strong plan supported with monitoring to ensure that we stay on course. I think that the biggest thing I want our families and community to know is that attendance is critical. Even though we made improvements in chronic absenteeism this past school year, we reduced our rate to 33%. We still have 1 in every 3 Northwest Local School District students who are chronically absent, meaning they're missing 10% or more of their opportunities to learn in our schools. I think it's going to take a village to reverse that trend. It was nationwide, this trend in increasing chronic absenteeism, and it's something that we have to work together as a school district with our community and our families to make a substantial change in. So I feel like that's an area where we really need your help.
Brenda, Lori, thank you for being with us today.
Thank
Thank you.
This has been Northwest Connects. I'm Kurt Reihle, Waycross Community Media. We'll see you next time.